So, good afternoon, students. So, in the last videos, we have discussed about the nutrition in plants, the types of nutrition, autotrophic, saprotrophic, and heterotrophic. And now we are going to discuss about nutrition in human beings. As we all know, nutrition in human beings has a very distinctive or a very specific structure that is known as system, that is known as digestive system. So, what are the processes and what are the organs that helps in the digestion process. So let's start with it. The first is, if you look at this diagram, it has all the basic organs of a human digestive system. So for the digestion of complex food, alimentary canal is present in human beings. It starts from mouth and ends in anus. So this is the entire structure, starting from your tongue to the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, and then diaphragm, and then there's small intestine, large intestine, and then the excretory organ, that is anus. So parts of the alimentary canal. First is mouth. What does it include? It includes the teeth, the tongue, and the salivary glands. What are salivary glands? Salivary glands are those glands that secrete saliva, and it contains an enzyme known as salivary amylase, that's ptyalin, which digests starch into sugar. That is, starch is converted into sugar and maltose. So basically, the first organ is mouth, which consists of teeth, tongue, and salivary glands. Salivary glands are those glands that releases enzyme known as saliva or salivary amylase, which digests starch into sugar. Esophagus. From the mouth, food is taken to the stomach. From the mouth, the food is taken to the stomach through food pipe, that is known as esophagus. The peristaltic movement of esophagus helps in the movement of the food. So what is the esophagus, or the windpipe we basically call it? So esophagus is the channel through which the food is taken from the mouth to the food pipe, to the stomach. So this is basically the food pipe, which is the channel from your mouth to the stomach. The stomach is a large organ which expands when the food enters it. The muscular walls of the stomach helps in mixing the food. The digestion functions are taken care by the gastric glands present in the walls of the stomach. So what is the stomach? Stomach is a basically organ which expands when food enters into it, and the muscular walls, the walls of the stomach, helps in the mixing of the food. Here is where the entire churning and the mixing of the food happens. The digestion functions are taken care by the gastric glands present in the walls of the stomach. The mouth releases the salivary gland. The salivary glands releases the saliva. Here in stomach you have got gastric glands that helps in the digestion of the food. This releases hydrochloric acids. These releases of hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of enzyme pepsin. So in the stomach there is an enzyme pepsin. Due to the release of the hydrochloric acid, which makes the stomach acidic in nature, and it helps in the release of the enzyme pepsin. The mucus present in the inner lining of the stomach from the action of acid under normal condition. So basically, the stomach releases this gastric glands. Has gastric glands, and gastric glands basically releases hydrochloric acids, which creates an acidic medium. And this, with the creation of this acidic medium, it helps in the digestion of the food. And the mucus that is present in the inner lining of the stomach helps in prevention of helps the stomach under these acidic conditions. The next part of the alimentary canal is small intestine. So small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal. It secretes intestinal juice which contains many enzymes, and that they do the following functions. Peptones releases amino acids, maltose releases glucose, sucrose releases glucose and galactose, and emulsified fats releases to fatty acids and glycerols. Liver, it secretes bile juice which is stored in gallbladder and bile emulsified fats. So first was the teeth, the second was the esophagus or the food pipe, and the third was your stomach, and the fourth was Your small intestine, which is the longest part of the alimentary canal, and it secretes intestinal juice that contains many enzymes, and they do the following functions. We have discussed about it: peptones, maltose, sucrose, and emulsified fats. Liver. Next part is liver, which releases bile pigments, or the bile secretes bile juice, and which is stored in gallbladder. Now, the parts of the alimentary canal. Next part is pancreas. Pancreas, it is a mixocrine gland. It secretes pancreatic juice, which perform following functions. NHCO3 make the food alkaline. Pancreatic amylase, it digests starch and lipids into maltose and isomaltose. Trypsin digests protein. Villi, digested food is taken by the walls of the intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for absorption. And the villi are richly supplied with blood vessels, which takes the absorbed food to each and every part of the cell of the body. So basic pancreas, that is a pancreatic, which releases the pancreatic juice. So what it has, it has the following function. First is it makes the food alkaline. It digests the starch and lipids into maltose and isomaltose. That is done by pancreatic amylase. And the trypsin is another enzyme that is helps in the digestion of protein. The villi, what is the function of villi? Is the digested food is taken by the walls of the intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for absorption. So it helps in the absorption of the food. It is also actually supplied with blood vessels, and so it helps in the transfer of absorbed food to each and every cell of the body. The next is large intestine. Large intestine is wider than the small intestine. It has three parts: colon, colon, caecum, and rectum. It absorbs water from the undigested food and secretes mucus. So it has three basic parts, that is colon, the caecum, and the rectum. So we have got the question here: what are the three different pathways in which glucose molecules break down and provide energy? We have already discussed it. Glucose in cytoplasm, to pyrudas, and aerobic respiration, anaerobic, and lack of oxygen. So it forms carbon dioxide plus water, C2H5OH, and lactic acid. In the next chapter, in the next class, we'll talk about respiration.